This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Most businesses' online presence is boring, and by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Hey everyone, this is Eric Thomas with Rival Digital, and I am proud to announce that we are the newest sponsor for the Power Women of the Trades podcast. We've been a big fan and supporter of the show for years, and we are just very excited and very honored for the opportunity to now be one of the podcast sponsors. So make sure you check out their page and subscribe to the podcast and listen in on wherever you get your podcast episodes from. Rival Digital is a full-service premier digital marketing agency for the home services industry. We offer everything from website design, search engine optimization, online advertising, public relations, and more. If you're interested in learning more about the services we offer for contractors just like yourself, head on over to rivaldigital.com, and we look forward to chatting with you.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Power Women of the Trades podcast with Cassie and Heather. Today we have Katie Biddle with us from Call Dad. And I was just going through your bio and the stuff like Kaylee always preps us with. And I was like, this is going to be a cool one. I'm excited to hear you've been around the space for a long time. So welcome to the show.
Yep.
Cool. So
excited to be here.
Awesome. Excited. Awesome. Okay. So tell us how you got into the trade. I love hearing stories like yours that aren't just like the standard, like, the husband thing or whatever. You know how it goes. So how'd you get into the space?
So I was 19 years old. I just dropped out of college and was really looking for some direction. I was working a retail job, making just over minimum wage. And I had a lady come in that I waited on quite frequently. And she slipped me a note and she said, if you're ever looking for a job, let me know. So I called her on my break. I was like, yeah, let's talk. I'd like to make more money. This would be cool. So I went to work for her and her husband. They had a very small startup. They had been in business for 3 months. And I ended up doing just about everything because it was such a small office, from sales coordination to answering the phones, to parts ordering, just about everything you can think of, inspections and pulling permits and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Isn't it crazy how when you start out with a smaller company, you end up doing so many of the things that as you grow and get bigger, like you were saying before we started recording, you have 9 locations. In the beginning, when you start in the trades, you're kind of just a jack of all, you do everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jack of all trades. And you do, it's so funny too, whenever, like I'm going to touch a soft spot right now. Heather and I were just talking about this week. So when you start in that and you do all that and then the company grows and you have to start like letting go of pieces, as when we have control issues and we can't let the things that we've had forever go, but we want to grow. So we want more, but we want to keep that. And then it's like this vicious cycle of you can't do it all.
It's funny you say that because that was something that they talked to me about all the time. Like, hey, this is your sandbox now. This isn't You need to stay out of her sandbox. Like,
yeah.
it's so hard.
I did it forever. And I trust her, but like, and like, I think it's like we find our value in our tasks, and like, we have to continue to remind ourselves that like our value is way outside of those tasks. And anyway, so it's just like such a relevant topic, because there's so many people that struggle with that. And I have found that most often it's women, because whenever I have reassigned or restructured specific roles with maybe some of the male managers, they're not normally quite as offended. They're just like, okay, this is my lane now. And then with female leaders, when we start reassigning, it's like, well, wait a second. And I'm like, no, hang on. So,
no, I think that, Cassie and I were literally talking about that. We had a conversation earlier this week, and it's a really hard thing for women. I know I struggled with it when we were growing Sky, because it was the same thing when I started with Sky, and you started with a Sky as well.
Yeah.
You get to a size and you've just always done certain tasks, and you keep doing them. And I was telling Cassie this week, it wasn't until I think we were at about 18 to 20 million-ish, and our chief of operations came and she's like, why are you ordering office supplies? You're the CFO. I'm like, I don't know. I've just always done it. I mean, that is just like trying to delegate those tasks. And it was just kind of a shining moment of thought right there for me, because I was like, yeah, there's no reason. Why am I spending my time doing this at this point in the game? Mm-hmm. So how did you grow into the position that you are in now?
So I worked with them for 7 years, and then I moved to Charlotte and worked for one of the largest companies in the Southeast, right as they were about at the point that we are now, or last year, actually, about 20 million. And I did sales coordination there for about 5 years. And then I moved to another larger company in Charlotte and managed their call center, which is definitely a learning experience. When I left there, it was right around COVID, and I floated around a couple of smaller offices as an office manager. Decided I wanted to get out of HVAC for at least a summer, so I went to a plumbing company.
You wanted to take a break from the summer madness? Yes.
I mean, it was at least 18 years that I'd been dealing with summers in HVAC. And you know the drill. That's why some CSRs, some dispatchers, they just burn out on it. It takes up a lot of your time, and it's very stressful.
Yep.
So I'd been there 2 months. It's mid-June. And the son of who I started my career with calls me up, and he says, hey, I'm in Charlotte. We've added on 3 new locations this year. I need some help with our call center. Will you come have a conversation with us about that? So I went in, spoke with them with no intent of actually taking the position. But I loved Matt Posta. They're both named Matt Posta and Matt Stewart. I love them so much, and their passion for what they were doing and their ideas for growth, and just seemed like such an awesome opportunity that I could not turn it down. So I managed the call center from 2022 to 2024. Again, so many years in the business, I got a little burnout on that too. I tend to care too much about people to the point where it can affect me outside of work. Just the minutia of people calling out and writing, just the little things that get burdensome. So I asked for a change, and I've been sitting in on marketing meetings for a couple months. And they know I have a creative side. I paint, and it's just my natural proclivity. And I'd also grasped onto our brand, like really clenched onto it and understood it. So 2 weeks later, they said, hey, we'd like to make you the head of marketing and customer experience. Like, wow. I don't even know the acronyms like LSA, GBP, like what all those things mean. Yeah. And so it's a very steep learning curve for me, but I just kind of drank from a water hose, just soaked it all up and took in every bit of knowledge that I could along the way. And that's been about 1.5 years now.
That's awesome. And then also you guys work with Mia, right?
Yeah.
Which we just had on the show. And then you guys have a pretty strong strategy with radio, right?
Absolutely. We saturate every market we're in. We get Google reviews based off negative Google reviews based off our ads. People calling in, emails. Yes.
It's not just us, guys. It's not just Biggins. Like,
I was just thinking about, Biggins. Like, there's people that hate the quality Biggins mascot dog.
I'm just like, it's so funny. But, most of the people that are taking the time to give you feedback on your radio ad are complaining, right? We get a few of the other things here and there, but I'm always like, guys, if we get like 1 or 2 complaints a month, we have to remember that we're on the radio like a lot, like the people that are hearing it. But you guys focus heavily, like that's your biggest spend, right? Like you are heavy radio and you didn't focus as heavily on digital.
Correct.
Right.
Prior to our rebrand, we rebranded to Call Dad in 2023. So prior to our rebrand, we were all digital primarily. That's all we did. We were one of the first people on LSA. We're very transactional. So after the rebrands, we went all in on radio, and we didn't really decrease our digital spend, but it was less than what we were spending on radio for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely one of those things that like radio, it's so funny, the people that just think that it's not really relevant anymore. And it definitely is. There's a lot of people still listening and a lot, and there's so many things like that we take for granted because maybe our generation doesn't do it this way anymore, or we don't do specifically. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of like isolate 80% of our customers because of that, because we're still filled with multi-generations, right?
Well, I think there has to be a balance there. And, obviously marketing isn't my area of expertise, but I remember when we were looking at the same thing a couple of years ago, Wizard of Ads, like gave us a marketing strategy that I was like, is that really going to work? And you forget, like we try to be ahead of the game. We step, into the new innovative things, but then there's this, the generations that are older than us are still listening to the radio. They're still reading the newspaper, or, even if they're doing it online, they're reading the newspaper, they're looking at their mail. Most of us we don't really even get our mail every day. 20 years ago, you got your mail every day. Now we pay everything online, but they're still like my parents, they still get their mail and they want to write a check.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of value in the diversity of your marketing.
Yeah. So now that you've made the shift from like the things that you had done previously and now into the marketing space of the business, it's different, right? I mean, there's still so many pieces that are the same, but there's a lot that are different. What do you think you've learned about connecting with customers from this side?
I now handle all of our complaints because that's a huge part of customer experience. How you resolve when people have issues, you prevent that bad word of mouth. You live up to your brand proposition with that. I've seen a lot of the backside of that as well, and how to tackle and block on those situations. A lot from the back end perspective too, with technicians and issues that technicians maybe operationally, we can change some things to give that customer a better experience, communicate, the cost of a capacitor better. Like why do ours cost more than say Joe Blow down the road, or it's $16 on Amazon? Like how can we do that on the front end? And that's customer experience too. So just seeing all the little minutia, because I'm responsible for that end-to-end customer experience. Seeing all that has definitely been eye-opening as just how much goes into it, from not just answering the phone, but all the way through the end to the invoicing aspect of it. If we get something wrong on that, they were double charged, like how can we make that process better too?
Yeah, there's so many pieces that, I was telling some of our leaders in our huddle this morning, I'm like, none of us signed up to be leaders to just handle the good stuff or maybe we did. And then you get into it and you're like, oh crap, because like all the stuff that's going well doesn't often need the leader, right? The leader is the one that's like the problem solver and the solution provider and the one that's like, how do we fix this? And what caused this? And it's constant troubleshooting, right? And there are so many pieces of that customer experience that can be affected that starts at the call center, but then at the very end, because when at that first call in the call center, we're telling them on the phone how their experience is going to go. Like, you've called the right place. We're the people for you. This is how we are. This is who we are. But then if we break that in between, or we don't put the bow on it, that's a reference I say all the time. Put the bow on it. Like, this is done and it's ready to go under the tree. That was the perfect experience. And if we can't put the bow on it, then we're missing the mark and we're not doing as we said that we would. And a lot of those things can come to light in a marketing type position when you're paying attention to everything happening.
Absolutely. And with the rate that we've grown, we've completely redesigned and restructured our operations every single year. Mm-hmm. We did 60% this year over year, and our entire shoulder season was spent analyzing every aspect from permitting to parts ordering, every aspect of it. Like, how are we going to deal with this influx if we're going to do what we budgeted to do this coming year?
So that's funny to me because Heather and I, every time we get on these calls everything is like, it doesn't matter what revenue you're at. There's so many conversations that happen that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is where we're at right now. Someone messaged us a few weeks ago and was like, thank you so much for that episode. I thought I was the only one that had a shit show with payroll. And I'm like, nah, girl, it's everybody. Or I'm the only one. Like, there's so many things that are relevant, but when you're in rapid growth, you have to be rapidly changing processes. And one of our core values is be willing to change. And and change quickly. We make significant changes quickly, but when you're rapidly, like you're saying, growing, you've got to be able to say like, okay, that doesn't work anymore. It used to at 5 million. Or even 10 million. It didn't work very great at 13 and we left it. So we've definitely got to fix it before we hit 20. But it takes the leaders that are paying attention to those things to fix it, because if you don't fix it fast enough, then you become the company that you always said you weren't going to be.
100%. Yeah. You have to stay ahead of it, or you'll fall behind faster than you can catch up and fix it. Mm-hmm. And so keeping your finger on the pulse is so critical, especially in rapid growth mode. And I went through that with Sky Heating, and we're going through it at Quality. It's just leaps and bounds, and trying to maintain that intercompany stabilization while still providing your customer with the experience that you promised. Because at the end of the day, if you take a step out of your role within the company and you look at it from the customer's experience, are we giving them what we promised? And that's really the most important thing, because that lasting impression that we leave with our customer is our reputation.
Mm-hmm.
We were just having this conversation in our corporate leadership meeting this morning about passive people who aren't just wowed or thrilled with your service are going to be the ones that really make or break you, and especially in a new market. Like, they say, it was okay. Yeah, they're good. Not, hey, you got to call them. They're great. Like, when we do our NPS scores, it's like, we have so many passives. Why is that? What can we do to make that a 10 every time? What can we do? What differentiator can we put in place that'll bring that up and make people just promoters for us?
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, I know you guys have the Dad University. Do you have anything? Do you do anything with that, or can you tell us about that?
I can tell you about it. I don't really have much to do with it.
I'm so
technical stuff is that's not my specialty by any means. We started an apprenticeship program. We call it Dad University in 2022. Mm-hmm. And it's a 27-month program, 15 weeks in the classroom and the rest of it in the field. And when they come out, they have their North Carolina Journeyman certificate. We have had so many applicants for this next class. bring on over 100 apprentices this year. I mean, you think about that, like 100 new people in the field is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's fantastic, though. That's awesome.
80% of our field staff is from DADU. It is either in the program or have graduated. We actually have a regional manager now and a service manager that went through the program early on.
Oh, wow.
So we have a very, very strict criteria. They go through multiple steps of process testing for personality. They go through all the managers, practically, our C-suite, except for myself and our accountant. We are really rigorous. We have about a 1.5% acceptance rate.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I want to come see that. That's a really cool piece. I mean, and that's another piece of marketing, though, girl. Like, you get to be able to use that as, this is what we're doing. This is how we're building you as a technician. This is the technician that we're building to come see you, you know? And I can just like think of the ways to utilize that in the marketing piece of, we are building what we promise we're going to do.
Check out our socials. We have DADU all over our socials to try to recruit people primarily. We hired a videographer, a full-time videographer this year, and he does amazing content based on DADU.
That's awesome. Well, so what is in the future for you, girl? Like, you're in this marketing piece, and what is your goal or your goals?
I really just want to see Call Dad grow, bring on new locations. We have plans to add on different trades in the next couple years. So that is going to be such an undertaking, and it'll help utilize my plumbing experience too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of marketing is knowing like ebbs and flows and how to tackle those. We have a big goal in mind. You know, we want to be within 10 years, 250 million and a household name all over the Southeast. So it's just really exciting to think about that and the prospect of it. It's hard to wrap your head around, but it was hard to wrap my head around where we're at now, 3 years ago too.
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy when you start rapidly growing, how you think, oh my gosh, in next year we could do this amount of revenue. And 2 or 3 years prior to that, it was so far out of touch that, you know, when it starts manifesting itself, it's just, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. And like, you know, we were talking about like being able to pivot through that growth and adding all the pieces. There's the marketing piece, there's the financial piece, there's the DADU. How are we going to recruit new hires that we want to be part of the team and to grow with the team? And just managing all that through rapid growth is a little scary, but exciting at the same time.
I equate it to building an airplane as you fly it.
Yeah.
We're still flying this bad boy, but we got to build it still too.
That's good. That's real good. That's so accurate in so many ways.
Steal that one. That's good analogy.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's awesome. Well, Katie, it was nice to catch up with you and learn about what you guys are doing at Call Dad. We will share the information of Call Dad in our show notes. And if anyone wants to reach out to her, I know she's on social media. And congratulations on such a great career in the trades and for being willing to share all about yourself today.
I appreciate you having me.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple. And make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.